Amidst the streets of Baltimore, many residents rise every morning, lacking a stable residence, a secure spot for sleep, or any refuge from the struggles life has delivered. These individuals aren't merely data points. They're our peers, our local community members. For numerous souls, the descent into homelessness stems from tragedy, sickness, or grief, and it is a journey that could impact anyone. While this emergency grows, a mystery lingers. At what point did we cease viewing them as humans? As a nation, how much more shall we tolerate this agony continuing without a response? The current state of displacement in Baltimore. Baltimore, formerly a center of manufacturing success, currently confronts an intensifying housing emergency that mirrors the more expansive issue of homelessness in America. The 2024 point-in-time counts indicate that more than 3,400 residents within the municipality miss housing nightly, a figure including ex-military households, elders, and people struggling with dependency or psychological health struggles. Central Baltimore's avenues, where refugees are pushed past limits, manifest this brutal truth. Canopies line pavements and temporary colonies spread throughout municipal areas, acting as grim signals of a framework neglecting its weakest members. Consider the account of Maria, a solo parent, who forfeited her sales position during the outbreak. Incapable of paying lease, she and her 2 kids were ousted from their West Baltimore flat. During months, they migrated among packed missions and fleeting stays, their existences collapsing through no mistake of theirs. Maria's ordeal is hardly singular. Many within Baltimore's unhoused previously lived steady lifestyles with employment and residences only to be destroyed by financial strain, rising leases, or individual hardships. The metropolis's unhoused percentage has climbed by 15% since 2020, propelled by institutional problems that shove citizens to the edges. Past the statistics exists a personal disaster. Every person signifies a biography, interrupted a destiny placed on pause. The variety of those impacted a soldier fighting trauma, a pensioner squeezed out of lodging a teen ensnared by substance abuse, underscores the intricacy of the emergency. This is not merely a regional problem, but a mirror of homelessness in America, where fiscal and communal breakdowns leave countless without a protection net. Why does a country as wealthy as ours permit so many to exist without a roof? Solving this disaster necessitates more than rapid repairs. It calls for a deep dedication to realizing its origins and seeking structural fixes that return chance and respect for everyone. The primary triggers of homelessness. To comprehend the displacement emergency in Baltimore, one must examine its foundational origins, which arise from a convoluted overlap of fiscal, communal, and institutional breakdowns. At the core of the problem exists a desperate deficit of low-cost residences. In Baltimore, the typical lease for a single-bedroom flat exceeds $1,600 monthly, whereas low-pay labourers pull in a middle salary of merely $25,000 yearly per 2024 municipal statistics. This prominent gap, aggravated by urban renewal, has transformed once reachable districts into restricted zones for wealthier inhabitants. Multi-generational Baltimoreans failing to pay rising leases encounter removal, with several descending into displacement. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition highlights this as a nationwide emergency. Zero territories in the US provide a base pay labourer the capacity to pay for a standard 2-bedroom flat. This residential unreachability is a pillar of homelessness in America, shoving innumerable people to the edge. Just as vital are the hurdles of dependency and psychological wellness. In Baltimore, about 35% of the unhoused demographic fights chemical dependency with narcotics, like fentanyl, fueling a crushing plague throughout Maryland. Psychological health conditions like melancholy, nervousness, and trauma are equally widespread, hitting a comparable segment of those lacking refuge. Still, entry to therapy stays dangerously restricted. Local medical accounts show that just 30% of those requiring dependency or psychological wellness assistance obtain them, leaving many caught in a loop of hopelessness. Lacking sufficient help obtaining permanent lodging or jobs becomes almost unachievable sustaining homelessness in America. Fiscal volatility additionally stokes the emergency. Baltimore's marketplace, formerly stabilized by sturdy factory positions, has moved toward low-pay, precarious labor in fields like commerce and the freelance sector. For people with restricted schooling or felony histories, locating steady jobs is a daunting obstacle. A 2024 report from the University of Baltimore showed that 45% of the town's unhoused inhabitants cited workplace forfeiture as a major catalyst for their circumstance. The forfeiture of earnings paired with Baltimore's steep living expenses can destroy a household's equilibrium in just months. Specifically, one skipped salary can trigger removal when lease eats over half of a family's revenue. Communal and governmental elements also contribute. Meagre civic spending in communal safety grids worsens the issue as national and regional financing for low-cost lodging and communal assistance has failed to match requirements. In Baltimore, social lodging queues extend years and grants benefit only a tiny portion of those requiring them. Furthermore, institutional injustices like biased recruitment habits or hurdles to reaching medicine unevenly impact sidelined clusters who comprise a large part of the unhoused demographic. These linked problems, lodging shortages, unmanaged dependency, and psychological wellness hurdles, fiscal vulnerability, and poor legislative actions produce a cruel loop that fixes homelessness in America. Solving this emergency demands not just recognizing these foundational origins, but also pledging to courageous, unified answers that confront them directly. How can a metropolis or a country defend such institutional breakdowns when the assets to fix them are available? The wider consequences for Baltimore's neighborhoods. The displacement emergency in Baltimore reaches far past those existing on pavements, altering the town's communal texture marketplace and partisan movements. Civic zones from active central districts to local playgrounds endure the tension as unhoused persons find sanctuary where missions come short. Town statistics show that Baltimore's main missions, intended to assist 1,900 souls nightly, regularly work at maximum, leaving hundreds to rest in corridors or empty plots. As a result, nearby inhabitants and store managers express rising worries regarding security trash and the fading attraction of business zones, which influences pedestrian flow and company earnings. The communal wellness consequences are just as grave. Lacking permanent lodging. People encounter increased dangers of lingering ailments, psychological wellness emergencies, and contagious bugs. Consider Sarah, a 45-year-old female who has been displaced for 18 months, battling unmanaged blood pressure and fear. "I cannot obtain routine help," she says, "and it is tough to remain well out here." Her ordeal mirrors a larger pattern. Baltimore's clinics have noticed a 25% spike in trauma visits from unhoused persons since 2020, costing the municipality roughly $10 million yearly in unpaid treatment. Small-scale entry to hygiene stokes surges of sicknesses like MRSA, which might migrate past the unhoused demographic, endangering district-wide wellness. Governmentally, homelessness in America ignites intense arguments in Baltimore. Various inhabitants request tougher regulations, like prohibitions on lingering, or colonies claiming that these actions maintain district benchmarks. Yet, such rules frequently move fragile persons to less apparent riskier zones, blocking entry to assistance. Others lobby for funding in recovery and lodging, but fiscal limits Baltimore earmarked merely $18 million for unhoused assistance in 2024 restrict advancement. The shame that labels displacement as an individual mistake rather than a structural problem worsens splits, making agreement difficult. How can Baltimore balance the worries of its sheltered residents with the dire requirements of those lacking residences? Fiscally, the emergency taxes assets and hampers expansion. Companies beside colonies mention decreased buyer arrivals, with some calculating a 15% fall in earnings per a 2024 regional business poll. Meantime, the town's facilities yield under the strain of upholding civic areas utilised as temporary refuges. These hurdles underscore the linked expenses of displacement, impacting not merely those on pavements, but the whole district. Solving this emergency necessitates a stabilised strategy that weighs both empathy and realism, ensuring Baltimore stays a lively, welcoming town for everyone. Initiatives to combat displacement. Baltimore is striving diligently to fight its displacement emergency, though restricted assets and institutional hurdles block advancement. The municipality's refuge grid provides mattresses, food, and fundamental assistance lodging over 1,700 souls nightly. Still, with requirements exceeding volume, hundreds are forced to rest in greenery or corridors. How might a town offer security when missions reject so many? To pursue durable fixes, Baltimore has embraced housing-first strategies, which offer lasting residences without requirements, paired with assistance like psychological wellness therapy and career coaching. Starting 2021, these schemes have lodged 1,600 people, with 82% keeping steady lodging after 18 months per municipal data. What might your district discover from this method? Connection attempts constitute a crucial lifeline. Portable groups of communal workers and medical experts supply nutrition garments and clinical help to those on pavements. Organisations like Helping Up Mission assist over 4,500 people, yearly building confidence to link them with lodging and healing assistance. These groups are vital for reaching those reluctant to find help owing to prior grief or suspicion. Have you ever pondered the obstacles stopping citizens from taking help? Averting schemes also serve a major part, providing urgent lease help and judicial aid to maintain family housing. In 2024, these programs rescued 700 families from removal, a vital move in halting the flow of displacement amidst soaring leases. creative partnerships are finding momentum. Baltimore works with charities and regional firms to bankroll career coaching, equipping people with abilities for steady work. A 2023 trial scheme with bosses settled 250 previously unhoused folks in positions from commerce to building. Furthermore, swift relocation programs offer brief grants to shift people into lasting residences fast. These attempts appear hopeful, but a $20 million financing deficit, as stated by regional supporters, restricts their magnitude. How could companies in your region participate in such schemes? Regardless of these breakthroughs, the void between requirement and assets is prominent. Baltimore's displacement programs function on a $22 million yearly grant. Much less than the $85 million specialists judge is required for thorough fixes. Realignment among bureaus is getting better, yet many still fight to handle scattered assistance. These schemes manifest Baltimore's determination, but they underscore the pressing requirement for higher investment and partnership to manage homelessness in America. Post your ideas in the remarks. What creative fixes could Baltimore embrace to bridge this void? By increasing these attempts, the town can progress toward a tomorrow where everybody possesses a residence. Obstacles and future strategies. Solving displacement in Baltimore necessitates facing a network of institutional hurdles, from lodging deficits to communal mindsets. The most urgent problem is the shortage of low-cost housing. The municipality requires roughly 10,000 extra low-earnings residential units to satisfy requirements. Yet merely 1,000 were constructed during the last 5 years per the Baltimore Housing Authority. Urban renewal persists in moving inhabitants, and communal lodging queues last for years. Lacking courageous moves, this void shall only expand. Psychological wellness and dependency assistance additionally stay dangerously undercapitalized. Baltimore possesses just 200 therapy mattresses for over 1,000 unhoused people fighting dependency, and psychological wellness assistance reaches merely a tiny portion of those requiring it. The narcotic emergency specifically, the expansion of fentanyl has heightened this hurdle, with fatal overdoses among the displaced climbing by 25% since 2021. Broadening therapy volume is vital, yet fiscal limits restrict advancement. Communal shame presents a further roadblock. Unhoused people are frequently biasedly tagged as idle or risky, encouraging rules that penalize instead of restore. Statutes prohibiting civic resting or lingering shove citizens into concealed spots where they are less prone to obtain assistance. Changing communal views toward empathy and insight is vital for significant transformation. What would be required to shift from criticism to fixes that elevate rather than sideline? To manage these hurdles, Baltimore might consider effective frameworks elsewhere. Minneapolis, for example, constructed 5,000 low-cost residential units in 3 years. By raising real estate levies on expensive projects, a tactic Baltimore could use to finance 2,000 fresh units yearly. Seattle's career coaching schemes have settled 600 unhoused people in steady work since 2022, providing a plan for labor incorporation. Broadening dependency therapy, like Los Angeles, performed by multiplying its recovery volume, might also yield results. A unified strategy joining leadership charities and commercial industries is vital to expand these fixes. By funding lodging medicine and careers, Baltimore can shatter the loop of homelessness in America. An individual contemplation. Strolling across Baltimore from the vibrant inner harbour to the silent lanes where canopies border the pavements. The personal price of displacement strikes deeply. These are not remote numbers, but our residents, individuals like Maria, a solo parent striving to hold her household together, or James aching for fundamental clinical attention. Homelessness in America is not merely a legislative oversight. It is an ethical collapse, revealing a culture that has permitted too many to slip through openings deserted to a landscape that frequently averts its gaze. This emergency tests our core principles. If we value fairness and compassion, how can we tolerate a situation where millions exist without lodging? The narratives of Baltimore's unhoused are more than reports of hardship. They are a resonant plea for structural transformation. We must advocate for regulations that tackle the primary problems. Baltimore requires 10,000 low-cost residential units to satisfy needs, yet merely a tiny portion are constructed each year. Psychological wellness and dependency assistance are vital, with only 200 therapy mattresses accessible for over 1,000 requiring them. Steady positions like those generated in Seattle schemes that hired 600 previously displaced people provide a way ahead. These are not just fantasies, but requirements to shatter the loop of displacement. Our country possesses the riches to terminate this disaster. The mystery is whether we possess the spirit. What community do we desire? One that elevates its most fragile, or one that pivots away? The solution exists in the selections we produce, the strategies we support, and the empathy we demonstrate. Baltimore's avenues mirror not just a regional fight, but a nationwide evaluation of our grit. We cannot overlook the souls behind the data, the existences longing for equilibrium. By insisting on low-cost lodging, superior medicine, and fiscal chances, we can construct a tomorrow where everybody possesses a residence. Let us behave today, ensuring nobody is abandoned in a land capable of significantly more. Conclusion. The displacement emergency in Baltimore serves as a blunt memento of the more expansive conflict of homelessness in America. It is a disaster grounded in institutional imbalances, expensive lodging, deficient medical care, and fiscal volatility, which necessitates more than temporary fixes. Although Baltimore's initiatives from refugees to avoidance schemes are praiseworthy, they prove insufficient, lacking increased funding and harmony. The route ahead exists in courageous regulations, constructing thousands of low-cost residences, broadening therapy for dependency and psychological wellness, and promoting career chances for those on the edges. This is not merely Baltimore's struggle, but a countrywide one urging every one of us to behave. Post your ideas in the remarks. What might we perform to guarantee everybody possesses a spot to label home? The moment for transformation is today, and it begins with us.